When is the best time to sell your house in Mississauga? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Give you some tips and tricks to better prepare you so you don't lose tens of thousands of dollars in the process of selling your home. And we're getting started right now. Hey everyone, Fawad Nissari here with eXp Realty, and welcome to my channel. I create weekly educational content related to Canadian real estate, market update, interest rate changes, and everything about buying and selling real estate here in the west of Toronto. If you are into this kind of content, consider subscribing. Hit that notification bell so you're notified as soon as we upload our next video. Okay, so let's talk about the best time to sell your property in Mississauga or anywhere else in the GTA. Now, that depends on several factors, and I'm going to classify these potential sellers in three different categories who are looking to sell today. Now, when I say today, this is as of December of 2023. Number one, you would have sellers who bought in 2018 and early parts of 2019. Obviously, it was a different market back then. There was no pandemic yet. Rates were in the 3.5, 3.8 range. So for these sellers, their mortgage is up for renewal between now and the first quarter of 2024. They locked in possibly a 5-year fixed rate for 3.5, but now they're primed for a rate shock. Their rate is going to jump from 3.5% to 6.5%. Now, if you fall into this category, should you sell your home? Well, I could tell you one thing, you're not going to sell your house at a loss because the average price of a condo in the GTA back in 2018 was around $450,000. Townhouse was $550,000 and detached house was around $900,000. Today, the average price of a condo is around $600,000 or $575,000. The average cost of a townhouse is around $900,000, and the average price of a detached 4-bedroom, 4-washroom is around $1.4, $1.3 million, depending on the area. Obviously, better area, higher prices. So the real question is, can you afford to pay the extra payment you're going to experience once you renew your mortgage? That's the real question you need to answer. Are you prepared to pay at least 40% more than what you have been paying for the past 4 years? Now, if you can absorb the rate shock, then why sell? I never recommend anybody sell their property unless they absolutely have to. Obviously, life event happens. Kids are growing up and the house is getting big, or the house is too small and you need to buy something bigger because, the kids are growing up again. So there's a lot of life events that you have no choice but to sell your house. Go for it. But don't sell because, you just want to sell. If you can hold it, never ever sell real estate. You're always going to make money in the long run if you hold it. Now, if you have to sell, I would probably wait until spring market of next year, simply because we didn't have a rate increase in September and October. There's not going to be another increase in December. So most likely, there's talks obviously about cutting rates around March or July of next year. I don't think it's going to happen in March. I highly doubt it's going to happen in July. I think 90% there's a high chance of happening in around September of 2024. So because there's not a lot of rate increases the past 3-4 months, the spring market's going to pick up because a lot of buyers are waiting, seeing what's going to happen. And the fixed rate has dropped a little bit, 25 basis points in the past 2-3 weeks. So there's going to be a lot of people coming back in the spring market to look for a home. Now, if you plan on listing it in the spring of 2024, it is imperative that you start having a conversation with a real estate broker who can help you prepare your home. You can start interviewing some agents to list your house, ask them a bunch of questions about what they're going to do in terms of marketing, etc., because they are professionals. They do this every day, basically, and they're going to come and give you some advice. They can tell you what to spend money on and what not to spend money on. Kitchen is, for example, one of the most important things. If your kitchen's outdated, focus on finishing your kitchen, adding a new kitchen. You don't have to do, for example, backyard work or exterior of the house work when you're listing your house in March, because there's going to be snow, not a lot of activity. So make sure you pay extra attention inside the home as opposed to outside. Now, moving on to the second category, sellers. These are sellers who bought at the peak of the market with variable rate mortgages. Now, almost every single home buyers with a variable rate of 1.52% has hit their trigger point, meaning their monthly payment does not even cover the interest portion of their payment. Now, these sellers are in trouble for a couple of reasons. They bought at the peak of the market. These homes have gone down in value at least 30%. For example, if you bought a detached house, 4-bedroom, 4-washroom, around peak of the market, February of 2022, in Mississauga, it was around $2 million. Now, it's around $1.6 million. If you bought a townhouse, most likely bought it around 1.3. Now it's around 950 because back then money was cheap. You were able to afford more, and now you cannot afford more because now you have to qualify on 8.5% qualifying rate for interest. Now, in terms of their payment, every single dollar goes towards the interest portion of the loan. And not only that, they probably owe another 20-30% every single month from the bank because the payment does not cover the interest portion of the property. And unfortunately, there's not much you can do if you are part of this group except waiting for the rate to possibly come down next September. Perhaps take on a part-time job or rent your basement to supplement your mortgage payment. Selling is not an option for this group, to be honest, because they will lose all their down payment money and possibly even owe money from the bank. So the only thing I can recommend is stay put. Do not lose the house. Do whatever you gotta do to make sure you make that payment for the next probably 9 months, 10 months until they start cutting rates. And lastly, number 3, sellers who bought 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. Now, these sellers have a huge amount of equity in their home. Perhaps it's time to downsize to a smaller house and buy something outright cash and not carry a mortgage. And that's what's happening for the past 2-3 months. Most of the transaction that's been happening, obviously we have historic low number of transactions the past 2-3 months, but even the 4,000-5,000 sales that we have on a monthly basis, that's happening because equity rollover. Somebody who bought a house 10 years ago for $340,000 or $450,000, now they're selling that house for $1.2, $1.3 million or $1 million. What they do is they will take their initial down payment plus the equity that they have, it's $800,000, and they'll go somewhere further and buy a house cash, so they don't have any mortgage. That's what's happening. Most of the transactions happening because of the equity rollover. There's not a lot of first-time home buyers who are coming in the market and buying a house unless they're making around $180,000, $190,000, $200,000 and buying in something in the GTA, because you cannot afford to buy a $750,000, $800,000, $850,000 house unless you're making $170,000, $180,000 with your minimum down payment. Now, regardless of what your situation is, I'm going to give you some stats that you should be aware of. That's what's happening in the market right now. September was the slowest month of sales in 27 years. Prices have come down at least 30% in most major markets in the GTA. For example, Durham region is down around 40%, especially Oshawa. Hamilton is down 40%. Bradford, Kitchener, not Kitchener so much, but Cambridge, all the very significantly down. The only market that's not significantly down is Toronto and Mississauga. Toronto's down, last time I checked, it was 15%, and Mississauga is around 16-17%. So that's what's happening. Assignments are flooding in the market, the power of sales are surging, and homes are sitting in the market for a longer period of time with several price reduction. We are in the buyer's market, and the buyers have the leverage now. That's what's happening in the market. Now, historically, springtime leading up to May is a good market to sell your home, along with September, October. But we had the slowest month in September and October. To conclude, it comes down to your specific situation. Now, I urge you to speak to a real estate broker with market knowledge to advise you whether it makes sense for you to sell or stay put. If you would like to schedule a call with me, I would love to help. My calendar is in the description box below. And if you got any value out of this video, please consider subscribing, hit that notification bell so you're notified when I upload the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.